So most people get into this subject because no matter what they do, no matter where they go in the dream, they always have a longing for something else. So everything they get to in the dream doesn't quite fulfill. So they work hard to get something. They have the family, the kids they want, and none of it fills that hole that it promises to. Our society always lives on this dynamic of, in the next moment you will get something and it will complete you, and that you have to work for this completion. You have to work for something that's going to make you feel whole. It's going to make you feel like you've got there. And it's not a bad thing. It just seems to be the way humanity went. We're always setting up these goals, and we get the notion that the goal, getting there, is it. That we'll feel complete once we get there. So we can spend years and years and years working towards something, obsessing about something, about getting to it, and it just doesn't work. You get there and you still feel the same. For a moment, or for a day, or for a week, there is a sense of celebration, but the feelings don't last. You have to keep reminding yourself that you've got there. And so as a society, we're always setting up this benchmark that we're moving forward. The next thing, the next thing. And people can spend a whole lifetime in that mentality of always moving the benchmark forward. Bench line forward. Always moving it and moving it. So say they want to become an actor, and then they become an actor and they're working, but then they want to become a famous actor. Then they want to become a superstar. Then they want to keep their fame. Then they want Oscars. It never ends, that seeking, that always moving towards something better. And it's not that the act of moving towards things is wrong. It's the dynamic that believes that completion is there. That when you get there, you'll feel like you've arrived. That's the problem. It's not actually working towards things. There's nothing wrong with working towards things. But it's this separating out and seeing the work as something that's not very enjoyable. The work is something that you don't love, but you do it because you have this image of this goal that you're going to get to. And in doing that, you're kind of setting up this pattern of in every day not being happy, because in every day you're doing things to get to an end goal, even if it's just paying the rent. And this mentality is really unhealthy. It's only because our current social system says that's the way it is that we think like that. It's not a necessity, and it's not a healthy way of thinking, of always thinking that the future is going to be better than the present. And you can understand why humans did it. They did it in order to improve survival circumstances, and in order to improve things and to gain things. So that's a positive thing. But it becomes a negative when your day-to-day life is about always completing something. So on the day-to-day life, we look at it as like getting through the day, the unit of time that you've got to get through. And you have a list of things that you need to get through in order to feel complete. So when you're doing the things, so you've got to sweep the garden, you're not really sweeping the garden, you're waiting to finish sweeping the garden. But what sort of life is that? To always live in the waiting to complete things. And it's no one's fault this has happened. There isn't really anybody inside the body on one level, but also it's just the way society sets things up at the moment. We're bred to be producers. So we're bred to always produce. So we're bred to always work towards goals. And then we kind of look at reality like that, rather than looking at reality as it is and doing everything innocently without a goal. We look at life as a series of goals and events to complete. And then after years and years of doing this, after a long period of time of doing this, we begin to become more and more unhappy, because our day-to-day life isn't filled with enjoyment of doing things. It's filled with always trying to finish doing things. And then we long for the day that we don't have to do things. And then when we don't have to do things, we feel agitated because we're so trained to always find our happiness through doing things. So many people I meet, even people that have been into this subject for a long time, they don't know how to relax. They don't know how to just sit on the sofa and look out of the window. This is not a productive activity. Sitting, looking out the window is not productive. And if they do it, their mind spins and spins and spins, because their mind is normally used to thinking about achievement, achievement, achievement. And this constant sense of achievement, what it does in the person is it makes them always tense and kind of stressed. And it's always about a means to an end. It's not about sitting on the sofa and all there being is the sofa and the sensation of it and the sensation of looking out the window, the sensation of thinking, the sensations of thought, feelings. It's about getting to something. I have to get to something. So what people begin to do, because they feel uncomfortable with this sense of always having to do something and never being able to relax, that what happens in most people is they end up drinking alcohol in the evening in order to tune out. And none of that stuff has to be stopped. I like alcohol, but this is where suffering comes from. You see, reality is as it is. This is as it is. And anything we think on reality isn't reality. And at the moment, the way that humans see life is about production. That's how we're trained to think, is production, 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 growth. This is what our society is about, and this is what we're trained to think about. And so, therefore, that's what our lives become, that achievement. That's what our value is, how much we've achieved, how much we've done, what we are. And what we are is about action. So when I look around society, most people are stressed and numbed out a bit because they're always in this mental reality of production. And this is like a huge thing to overcome, because the way in which that energy tends to stop of always seeking is by an examination of it. But by examining it, it's normally uncomfortable, because the momentum is to produce, the momentum is to seek, and then in examining it, then the feelings come up, the uncomfortable feelings of always wanting to go to the next moment. And so then people might look at this examination as a new activity, a new getting to. Imagine living in that world of always producing, that thought mentality of always being a producer. That's not how life is. This is just training. These are thought patterns in which you've been taught. There's not even a you there that's been taught it, actually. The you is something that's taught and an energetic thing. But that's something we can explore later on in these conversations. people get in such a pickle because they're always activating the thought realm. They're always looking for solutions and answers to everything in the thought realm. The thought realm is the most important realm. What you think you know. And so they activate, they're constantly activating thought. Something which isn't reality. Something that's objective opinion and comes and goes, but it's being activated as if it's a truth, as if what you think is reality. So you think now that you're sitting listening to me give a talk on non-duality, but all of that is thoughts, and which some of it's also become an energetic contraction inside the body. The sense of you has become an energy. That you are sitting on a sofa looking at Lisa from inside the body. But imagine if you couldn't think. Who would you be? What would be left? If you took out all of thinking. Oh, I've lost a dog. Where is that dog barking?